Hello, folks, and welcome to the Rangers Review Evening Show with me, Jonny McFarlane. I'm back in the hosting chair, which I'm very, very unexcited about. I have to say, I've been called in at the last moment, thanks to Mr. Derek Clark making some sort of mess up. I don't know. I'm just blaming you, Derek. You've pulled me away from my tea. But never mind. I'm here. I'm always excited to talk about Rangers. So let's get stuck into this press conference that's just taken place. You are in Seville. You have just been at the Real Betis Stadium for the press conference with Philippe. I was going to call him Jeremy Clement there. Philippe Clement. That's a bit of a throwback. And he had rather a lot to say, quite a lot to get our teeth in. Now, let's go straight away, Derek, to probably the biggest issue of the day, which is that Todd Cantwell, arguably Rangers' most creative player, is not on the plane. He's not in Spain. Tell us why.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shocker, to be honest with you, Jonny. He came in, he explained the situation. It's not because of injury, so we can breathe a sigh of relief with regards to that, given the injury situation at the club just now. But he said Todd is not here because of personal circumstances, and he wants to keep it personal, so we respect that. The positive thing to say about that is it's not something between him or the club or me or him. It's family-wise. It's important if players want to keep things private, we're going to keep things private. Players are public figures for sure, but they have personal things in life that we need to respect. Also, there is a chance he could be available for Sunday, but it's not guaranteed. So certainly when we heard this notion that he hadn't travelled with the team, you immediately think, oh, it's a bust-up perhaps with the manager, but he cleared that up in his first answer, Philippe Clement, saying it was a family personal matter. So obviously we need to respect that, Jonny, and then hope that he's back for Sunday. Rangers are light on bodies already, as we already know. Ryan Jack won't be available. It's unlikely he's going to be available for Sunday either. Danilo is going to be out for several months. It's not Rosie Cifuentes, of course, he'll feature, I'd imagine, tomorrow, but he won't feature in the next two domestic games. And he had a lot to say on that appeal as well, which was interesting. But on Cantwell, it's a major blow, Jonny, because he's a player that you look to tomorrow night for that creativity, that spark, if Rangers are going to win the game. Now, who's going to fill that void? I think Sam Lammers is probably the obvious candidate, but I think both me and you will agree that he's not up to it in a Rangers jersey. So that is a big puzzle I'm sure Philippe Clement will be looking to solve tomorrow night.
Yeah, I suppose if there's any positivity regarding Sam Lammers, maybe the speed of the game against the Spanish team in Spain in that heat might suit him, that kind of laconic player, skillful player. Maybe he can make an impact, although based on his performances so far, you have to say it seems unlikely. Derek, a lot of chat about sunburn, about the ginge in that heat out there, because everything that I've seen in terms of Spain this week is that they're having record temperatures for December. And listen, when you told me there was a swimming pool on your roof, I thought absolutely no chance you'll get in there. What's the weather like? How's your sunburn? We've got a few comments here. Bluebells are blue saying you burnt me at Derek, mate. King Rex saying Derek's been out in the sun, he's gone blonde. And then other people asking about the pool. So tell us about that aspect of this.
Well, the day started off badly, Jonny, when I was going through, you know how you need to put your liquids and what have you in a little bag when you go through security at the airport. I was told my sun cream was too large to fit in the bag, so I had to dump that.
You only get 100 mils.
Well, that was news to me. Has that been reduced recently? Let us know in the comments, folks. But yeah, I was caught out with that, so I was already panicking. Not to mention you sending me a message last night telling me that Malaga was it 29 degrees or something like that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was slightly sweating, but it was mild. I've got to say, it was pretty windy. We touched down in Malaga, and then from there we got the train over to Seville. It was nice. Don't get me wrong, but it's nice and cool. Nice little breeze as well. So I've not been sunburnt, so that's a good thing. I'm told the sun comes out tomorrow though, so I need to make sure that I get lathered up in sun cream. And I get...
Glad you said in sun cream there, pal.
Yeah. In terms of the pool, incidentally, Chris dropped the bombshell that is closed because it's the winter time, which is absolutely scandalous. I brought my Speedos and everything, so gutted about that. I was hoping to host the show tomorrow morning from the pool, Jonny. So that is a major blow, I've got to say. Not as big as Todd Cantwell missing the game tomorrow night, but for me, it is devastating news.
Yes. Well, let's not talk about this anymore. I fear we're going down a rabbit hole, which is not unusual for the Rangers Review when it's the two of us. So let's get back to some of the more directly interesting stuff from the presser. Danilo, Derek. There was obviously stories in the press that he was going to be out for up to, a significant amount of time. I think it was April, they said in the story, it was going to be back. I believe this has been confirmed.
Yeah, Chris actually pressed him on Danilo, Jonny. He said his response was, "I never give a timescale. I've been a player before, and I was lucky to be someone who healed really fast. I worked really hard to come back after injuries, but there were moments where the doctor said I would be back in 8 weeks, and I was back in 4. I don't think it's good to put a timescale on it, but we need to be really clear and honest. I try as much as possible to give all the information. It will be several months, that's for sure. He'll not be back in January, but I don't want to pinpoint the number of months. So we can forget about seeing him in the foreseeable future, Jonny. Major blow for me. I think I've said on a number of videos now, not only are Rangers looking for one striker in January, for me, I think they need 2. I don't know if you agree with that, but with Danilo being out for a considerable period of time, and I remain to be convinced that he is the man you can hang your hat on to get you the goals. So I think Rangers need to go and buy 2 strikers in January. So good luck with that. Don't come easy. I know we've discussed before about a certain player playing in the capital that Rangers should be looking to acquire, and I think they need another one. So yeah, not good news on Danilo, unfortunately.
No, I totally agree, Derek. I think there needs to be at least one player you can hang your hat on for goals, and then probably another one that you can bring in if that person is not available. You look at the current setup, I think they need to ship out Dessers. I think they need to ship out Lammers. That's fairly obvious, I would say, at this point. So if you're going to do that, if you're able to do that, and of course that's the big question, Derek, are you able to do that? Because the club has to be efficiently run as well. Then you've got the opportunity potentially to bring someone else in, but there's a lot to mull over for Philippe Clement, I think, over this next 4 or 5 weeks, that's for sure. In terms of the strategy, I believe that Mr. Clement said that they have nothing to lose. Can you elaborate on that? Nothing to lose. I mean, everything to play for, I would have thought, but perhaps he's seeing the Conference League as a bit of almost like a consolation prize, which means that they don't lose either way.
Yeah, he did touch on this after the Aris draw as well, when he said there was a certain manager that's got a tattoo of the Conference League, talking about Jose Mourinho. So I think he was just trying to downplay the disappointment of that draw against Aris. There's no doubt about it. It was a frustrating night at Ibrox, which has led this to be a sort of one of those games where, Real Betis stumbled against Sparta Prague as well, so they'll need to come out here and try and win the game to guarantee of their progression to the next round. So I think he's just trying to temper expectations. Perhaps it is going to be a big test for Rangers tomorrow night, there's no doubt about it. But for me, I know people look down on the Conference League, but listen, Roma and West Ham won in the last couple of years. If Rangers were to go on a run in the Conference League and go far in it, I think the fans would get well and truly behind it. That being said, I think we all know that we want to progress in the Europa League tomorrow night, and if they fail to do that, then it will be a disappointment. But as European football after Christmas, he was at pains to stress that at Ibrox a couple of weeks ago, and he was asked in the press conference earlier on about the task ahead. He says he was asked a simple task ahead. He says, how many home games have they lost this season? If you say it's simple, it's not simple. Otherwise, teams would have done it. Good teams like Real Madrid. We have a lot of respect for them, but we come here with ambition. It's a game where Rangers have nothing to lose. We're in Europe after the new year, but we come here with a big ambition because we want to make that next step as a group. I have given them several challenges over the past few weeks, and almost every time the team passed the test. Now is the next one, maybe the biggest one we have faced, so we're going to go for it. I think it's fair to say this is the biggest test. He's right there, Philippe Clement. I think Rangers haven't come up a team as good as this, perhaps, under his tenure so far, Jonny. I think that he's quite right to say that. That being said, Real Betis are missing a few players of their own, so it'll be interesting. Like I said, Betis will be going out there to win the game. There'll be spaces to exploit, I'd imagine, and we're looking at the likes of Dalasima and possibly Ross McCausland. Maybe even Rabbi Matondo might get the nod, who knows, to go and exploit that.
Derek, I'm going to throw one of my hot takes in here. Rangers Football Club need to win every game, obviously.
Yeah.
There's very few games like this where, really, for me, it almost doesn't matter. There's positives, obviously, getting through in the Europa League. There's more money, more kudos. Do you know what? The Conference League might also be pretty fantastic. Gives you a lot better chance of going deeper into the competition. Okay, there's not as much money, but if you get to the semi-finals or the final of the Conference League, no one cares. Yeah. As Clement says, look at Jose Mourinho, a guy who's won 2 European Cups, seemed more happy winning that with Roma than he has certainly the Inter Milan and the Porto wins, perhaps because he was leaving for another club and he knew that. But listen, I don't think it matters really that much. The key thing here, and I think I speak for the vast majority of Rangers fans when I say this, and it's not often I say that, Derek, but I really, really do feel it doesn't matter compared with what's going to happen on Sunday. That's where the juice is.
Sunday's the game for me, Jonny. How do you choose one of them? It's Sunday.
Absolutely. So really tomorrow night. Sorry, it's every Rangers game is important, and I don't want to downplay that. But given there's that Conference League safety net, I really wouldn't want to see Rangers in a position where they lose players through injury or anything like that. I think they obviously have to give their all. You wouldn't want to see a spanking or anything like that. But what's happening on Sunday is huge in comparison. This League Cup hasn't been won for over a decade. I think the confidence of being winners is huge for a squad. We've seen that time and time again over the years. It always starts with one trophy, and you never know where it can snowball from there. We've already seen this team, if they win their game in hand, they'll have clawed back 5 points in the time the Belgian's been the manager at the club. Everything is going in the right direction. Obviously, still a lot to do. You've got to beat Aberdeen. You've got to pull off a result of some sort maybe tonight, and you've got to win that game in hand. But it's all set up nicely, isn't it? I just think, honestly, at this stage, Rangers fans have seen a fair bit of European success. They've seen a fair bit of reclaiming the club's name in Europe, and that's been huge. But now it's about getting domesticity back to where the club would want it to be. And that starts on Sunday, and nothing matters in comparison to that. So, I'd be interested to see what people think, if they agree with that or disagree with it. But I have to say, I'd be shocked if anyone was putting too much priority on this game. This is as close as you can get to a non-dead rubber, meaningless tie for me.
I totally agree. And
you know what I mean?
I think I was on with Joshua last week, and I did say, I mean, I don't have any tattoos, Jonny, but if Rangers go all the way in the Conference League, I'll be getting the Conference League tattoo a la Jose Mourinho, so it doesn't bother me, that's for sure. So there you go.
Get clipped up, Derek.
You can choose which orifice, which body part you'd like the tattoo placed on, folks. But I'm with you, Jonny.
Doesn't have to be a big tattoo, folks.
Yeah. Sunday is absolutely massive. I'm pretty confident about Sunday, I've got to say. I think that will take care of itself. I know, like you say, Jonny, they've not won it for so many years. I was actually at the last time that they won that 2-1 against Celtic, wasn't it? The Jelavic goal that won it in the end. So who knew what the Johnny Rangers would go on after that? It's been quite staggering. So, they need to win that trophy. They need to get it back in the trophy cabinet, and that can act, like you say, as a springboard to the rest of the season. Keep that sort of winning mentality going. Philippe Clement did touch on that in his press conference as well. He's been really pleased with the squad togetherness and players buying into his ideas. So you can see it on the pitch. The players are playing for each other. There's that grit and determination, which he's spoken about. It's evident for all to see. We've seen it at the weekend, of course, against Dundee, and hopefully we can see it tomorrow night and Sunday as well.
Yeah, Derek, I'm just going to let you go after this, but just one last thing, because I do think, obviously, it's causing a little bit of discussion. Jose Cifuentes was sent off the weekend. I thought it was a red card. It was one of those decisions for me. It's quite marginal, but on the balance of probability, he goes in for a challenge, he doesn't win the ball, and he ends up on top of another player's knee. I think if that challenge was on a Rangers player, I think I'd be suggesting it was a red card. So I think you have to apply that sort of logic and balance to it. Philippe Clement didn't agree, which I respect. What did he have to say?
Yeah, it was interesting. He said, where he was asked, were you surprised that the Cifuentes appeal was upheld? Clearly, I think it surprised everybody, maybe even the players of Dundee. If you look back at the image, and it's sometimes frustrating as a manager, but if the referee gives a yellow card and after it becomes a red card, then the next day you watch Match of the Day and see many more bad tackles that are a yellow card. So that was strange. Then you see back the footage after the game where Yossi is contact, but because the player slides to meet him, when he goes for the ball, if you look at the image, there are 5 or 6 players of Dundee around him, and there's nobody reacts to the referee, nothing. They just continue to attack because it was a duel. Yes, it was contact, but not a big foul, so it's disappointing to lose a player in the first half and to have to play with 10, but to then miss 2 more games, that's a bit too much for me. Okay, there are other people who decide, and I don't have any power in that, so I will focus on the guys available. I'm going to be really interested to see the next couple of months if these contacts happen and whether every time it is a red card. So that's what he had to say on it. Quite interesting, as he always is. I think he's got a point, to be honest.
Nonsense, basically. Won't be the first time.
I think he's got a point. Remember those Vox Pops? I don't know who done it, but in the streets of Glasgow, and the boy summed VAR up perfectly, Jonny, where he said you can slow down every incident and it looks like a porno. The Cifuentes incident was that for me. I watched it in real time. Yes, when you go to VAR, you run that risk, but there was no intent there, and I know that doesn't play into the assessment and the decision to show him a red card. But I thought it was a harsh call, but the manager certainly agrees with that, and it will be interesting.
I agree. Listen, I agree. It was harsh. And I agree. He didn't mean it, but as I've said a million times on Twitter, it's irrelevant. It's just the way that they don't care. It's not a part of it. But listen, it definitely was one where a player's gone in without any intention. And if you watch it at full speed, you kind of wonder what the fuss is about. But listen, I know this is the kind of thing that's going to drag on if we start debating this. And I know you've got to go away and do another video with who are you talking to?
I'm going to go and speak to, you all know, folks, if you watch the preview to the first game at Ibrox, Enrique, the Real Betis supporter. So he is taking me to a Real Betis bar, Jonny. Right. So we're going to get a bit of insight into Betis, what we can expect tomorrow and that sort of stuff. So really looking forward to that.
Derek, you don't think he's taken a look at the Nicky and thought, Derek Clark, 6'4", ginger hair, he's going to be up for a scrap. You're not going to get there and meet about 20 Betis ultras looking for a square go, are you?
Well, it's been nice knowing you. If all goes south very quickly in the next 5 minutes, Jonny. If you don't hear from me, then it's been great being on this show, folks. So, but hopefully, you'll see my face alongside Enrique in about 20-25 minutes time. We'll have a good old chat. Get your questions in. We'll put as many to them to Enrique as possible.
Brilliant. Well, listen, we'll get off the air just now because you're going to be back on so quickly. So, guys, hang around because, like Derek says, this is going to be up and you'll be able to ask any questions about Betis, about Rangers, about the trip to Glasgow for that first game in the group. And until next time, thank you very much for watching us. Just while we've got you on, though, just remember that we have got the subscription offer on at the moment. It's £4 for 4 months. You can get signed up and get access to that fantastic Chris Jack Fashion Sakala exclusive that has left the name Fashion Sakala trending across the UK today. So definitely get in on there, and then you can get access to the 2,500 word article detailing, well, quite a lot about Fashion Sakala's career at Rangers. Okay, we'll call it a day there. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Derek. We'll see you in 25 minutes and catch you all later. Cheers.